I'm the 5-Minute Professor, and today's lesson is part 1 of 2 parts, where we talk about the 10 logical fallacies that are often found in what passes for, and I'll just use the word they use on television, even though I'm sure it doesn't really apply, debate in today's political environment. And it's been a long time since debate really factored in, because no one's really trying to change anyone's mind. They're just saying, this is what I think, this is what he thinks, and this is why I'm right and he's wrong. But there are 10 different arguments which, when used, are a signal that the person you're talking with, or the person who's trying to convince you about their thought process, isn't going to be making a solid logical argument. They're called the 10 logical fallacies. And the very first one is the most obvious, and that's when, instead of attacking your argument, they attack you. It is called an ad hominem attack, or to attack the messenger. To say, of course you think that way, because you're stupid. That does not mean he's fighting the argument. It means he's fighting the person who he's arguing with. That is the first and most glaring of all the logical fallacies, the ad hominem attack. The second one we want to talk about is the straw man fallacy. That's to exaggerate or to misrepresent an argument to make it easier to attack. Like when people say, oh yeah, you like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is going to close up the military and give everybody free college. Well, it may be a little bit more complicated than that, but it seems stupid if you really exaggerate it. It's the straw man. Make an easy target, destroy the target. Logical fallacy number 3, the false dichotomy. Most everything, especially in the political world, is complicated. There's give, there's take, there are shades of gray. But it seems whenever you talk to somebody in a political environment, everything is black or white. And the false dichotomy argument is when you say there really are only 2 choices, pick one. And one of the cases where I've heard this a lot is, oh, so you didn't think we should have gone into the Gulf War? Well, what? Would you have preferred that we had a 9/11 style attack every 2 years here in the US? It's imagining a scenario where 2 different things are the only possible alternatives, and then you get to choose the one which makes more sense. But you know what? There is more than 2 ways to look at an argument. The fourth of our false statements, or our false arguments, is the hasty generalization. When you choose an extremely small sample size, and then you say that applies to every single person. One of the ways I've heard that is if you drive through town and you see 10 children and no adults, can you make the assumption that everyone that lives in this town is a child, or that you've stumbled upon a refilming of Children of the Corn? Not necessarily. It is sometimes called the argument of the lonely fact. But some people will double down on the lonely fact. You may have heard someone claim that all immigrants to the United States from Mexico are rapists and murderers. But sometimes they'll turn that argument around when you argue with them, and they'll say, so you're saying that none of the immigrants from Mexico are rapists and murderers? Well, that's not the same argument, is it? It is a false argument. It is a sign that the person that you're debating or discussing with is really not engaging in solid philosophical debate. And the fifth and final one of part 1 of our 10 logical fallacies is begging the question. This is an expression which I always get wrong. I always think that begging the question means that leads me to this question. But that's not really what begging the question is. Begging the question is saying something where the answer is implied in the question. So it's something that's quite often unagreed upon. But if you put it at the beginning of the sentence, well then, now for your argument, we've agreed upon it. And there is a perfect example if you take the Second Amendment of the Constitution and turn it into a logical argument. Because the Second Amendment of the Constitution says, since a well-regulated militia is essential to the continued existence of a free state. Here's your logical statement at the beginning. Should we allow Congress to make any laws restricting guns and access to guns? Well, you have to agree that you need to have a militia in order to agree that that militia needs guns. That is the first part of 2 parts of the 10 rules of logical fallacies. Perceptum, quispium, damnitium. Learn something, damn it! I'm the 5-Minute Professor, and thank you very much for listening to today's lesson. If you have any comments at all, please put them in the comments section down below. And of course, like it and subscribe to the channel. But most important, if you liked it, if you commented, and if you subscribed, tell your friends. Perceptum, quispium, damnitium. Learn something, damn it.